I didn't mean to end that video there, but I accidentally clicked stop sharing instead of going to the next slide. So you have two Edpuzzles that are separate. See if I can put them together. I'll try. So we just finished midpoint. We are on our last topic here, which is segment bisectors. So segment bisectors is kind of related to midpoint, and we'll talk about why and its definition here. So a segment bisector cuts a segment in half. So if I have a piece of string, if I take my scissors and go exactly in the middle, my scissors are like that segment bisector. I'm taking my string, cutting it in the middle. So this is different than segment addition. Segment addition just said I can cut my string anywhere. Yeah. This specifically says my string has to be cut in the middle. I cannot emphasize how important you understand the difference between those two. Exactly in the middle is this one. Segment addition, I can have my string cut anywhere. Now, hopefully this makes sense also why segment bisector means that it cuts a segment in half. Because bi, you should know, like bicycle and all of those other words, yes, means two, yeah? It's called a bicycle because it has two wheels, yeah? And sect comes from the word section. So bisect means two sections. That's what it means. Now, the definition that I will always use to make it clear what your setup is, this is another definition of segment bisector. It cuts a segment into two equal sections. So I have my string. My bisector gives me two equal pieces. That's because if I cut something in half, that's the whole point of sharing, right? If you had a sibling growing up, your mom always had to cut things in half because you had to have the exact same size slice of pizza or whatever. Same thing. Cut it into two equal pieces. Very important for what we're going to do here. Okay, so given that B bisects AC. So before, in segment addition, it said, given that C is somewhere in between these points. So it could be anywhere. This specifically means that this is cut in half. And not only that, not just half, although it is, but more importantly, two equal sections. So we're trying to find AB. Hopefully you know the answer. If this entire thing is cut into two equal pieces, and one of the equal pieces is 8. Hey, what does that mean about the other piece? It's also 8. What? You're so smart. That's it. That's our answer. If AC is cut into two equal pieces at point B, well, there's my two equal pieces, 8 and 8. That's it. Super simple, I hope. Let's try and make it a little bit harder now. So once more, given that D bisects EF, that tells me these are equal. I'm going to go ahead and use this notation right now. We're going to do it later. But whenever we have two sections of a line that are equal, we draw a little line through them. And that tells me from E to D is equal from D to F. That little line right there tells me this section equals this section. And look, what I just said is our setup. Again, you see a picture, you're given a definition, you have to make the equation from that definition. I just said this piece equals this piece. And this piece is 2x, and this piece is 10. There you go. There's your setup. All you got to do is solve. That's how this class is going to work the entire year. See a picture, read some vocabulary words, and know the definitions. Very important. Make your equation and solve. So all we got to do, divide by 2. That's it. X equals 5. And that's what we wanted, so we're good. Okay, we got one more that's going to be a little bit more difficult. Again, I'm going to kind of help you get the setup, and then you're going to give it a shot. So we have to look at what's given. Again, it's not just a picture. it's also details. So if you ignore the details and you just look at the picture, you're going to get so many questions wrong. Given that T bisects RS, that tells me T cuts RS into 2 equal pieces. And there's our equal pieces, and there is our setup. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. I want you to write the setup and give it a shot, and then we're going to come back. So all you need to do is write the setup. Okay, I said there's our 2 equal pieces. So this piece equals this piece. There's your setup, and then you solve. That's how this works. You see a picture, you know the vocabulary word, bisect, you write your equation. So let's solve this real quick now from here. I'm going to go ahead and just do it real quick to wrap this video up, and this is a pretty easy one too. I'm going to go ahead and add 5. You could have done something different. That's gone. 3x equals 2x plus, 8 and 5 always get me, 23. So I got my numbers to one side, I got to get my variables to the other. I go swoop, swoop, minus 2x. And we're actually done with this problem because 3x minus 2x is 1x, which is just x. And then we only have 23 left over on the other side. Good job. Hopefully, again, I know this was a lot, but we are going to practice in class a lot more with some more difficult questions, and you can get a bit more help there. To wrap up this lesson, though, we're going to go ahead and do this real quick. So to summarize, you want to match the vocabulary to the definition. So I've got segment addition here, midpoint, and segment bisector, and I got some definitions on this side. Let's start with A. Actually, let's do this. I'm going to give you a second. You can go ahead and write down like 1 is B, 2 is C, whatever you want to do, whatever it is. You don't have to copy out the whole thing if you don't like to, but I'm going to give you a second to do that. Okay, let's go through it. So hopefully you matched them up. The first one, I'm going to go ahead and look on the right side and decide what vocabulary it is. So A says the middle point between 2 points. Now, this is tricky, but it could technically be segment bisector because the segment bisector is also in the middle, right? It cuts it into half. But I'm going to go ahead and say, obviously, middle point should be midpoint. Yeah. Because for B, cuts a segment, that's a sect, right? Into sections it cuts. So cuts a segment into 2 equal pieces, that is a segment bisector. So the last one has to be segment addition. Piece plus the piece equals the whole. 2 pieces of a segment add to equal the whole segment. So again, we're going to practice this more in class, but I hope this was a good overview. You have a basic understanding of how this works, and we will try some harder things in class.